All right. Before we begin, we want to acknowledge that the land on which we are operating on is the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. And today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island. We recognize that this statement is no more than an acknowledgement, and much work remains to be done to cultivate reparations and reconciliations with Indigenous communities. We have Bukhtawar, who graduated from the design stream at Daniels in 2024. And she is currently in her first year at the Masters of Architecture program at Columbia University. Her work revolves around storytelling, culture, and human experience, and she hopes to continue designing for these themes with institutional and public space projects. During her time at the University of Toronto, she was Director of Operations for AALD and is now the Vice President of the GSAPP Student Council. And in her free time, she loves exploring the city and trying out new coffee shops. And Bukhtawar, you can share your screen whenever you're ready.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I share my screen. So I applied to quite a few schools in the US and then just U of T for Canada. And I started working on my portfolio, I'd say in August before fourth year started because I didn't take a gap year. And that's what I ended with. So this is my cover page. I kept it pretty plain. It's just the middle icon is a section or is like a small part of like one of my drawings that I really liked. And I just wanted to make it bigger. And then the next one is just table contents. I only had 5 projects. The order I kind of struggled with, but I was told that my strongest projects that like say the most about me should be first and last, and then the like less strong ones can be in the middle. I was told to put my thesis first by a lot of people, but I was only halfway into thesis by the time I applied. So although it like said a lot about me, I don't think it was as strong. And because I was applying to architecture programs, I decided that putting an actual like building project design would be like more successful. So I also started with my student housing project. I kept the layout on the first page of each project relatively the same. So there's always text on the top left and then a big picture on the right page. And then like smaller ones next to the text, but these are just 2 model photos that I took. I didn't have a lot of models in this portfolio, and I know a lot of schools appreciate models, which is why if I did have them, I put them in. So this is the first page. And then I kept the design that I initially had during this class, but I redid a lot of the actually, I think I redid all of the drawings in the summer before I applied. So yeah, the left is massing and like how that came to be through like iterating, and then we have a site plan, and then a big part of my design was the facade and how it shows the communal spaces. So that's what's on the bottom. And then this is a big site isometric that I did. I think white space and big drawings are really good, but the big drawings need to have a lot of details to like show why they're big. If a drawing's big, but there's not a lot of detail in it, it just kind of looks empty, I think. So I tried to add a lot of detail in all the drawings that I made quite large, but this is an ISO. And then we have a ground floor plan, and then like regular floor plans of the actual building itself. And then I put just unit plans of the different units that I had. So I have 1-bedroom units and 2-bedroom units. And then on the right is more of an explanation of how my building worked. So the first diagram is a program distribution diagram, just to show like the different program spaces I had in the building, especially since the concept of my building was to have a lot of programming and activation and like a sense of community. And then the right one is just an aggregation diagram showing how the units were put together. And then the orange is like public spaces. This is another big one, a sectional perspective through the wing, and then it also shows the site around it. Also, while I was doing these projects, most of them were like fully black and white, but you're supposed to show your personality and your style and what you like in your portfolio. And that's why when I was redoing my drawings, I wanted to add more color because it's like a personal preference, but the profs didn't necessarily like it. This is my second project. This is just ARC 201. Again, I started with model photos because they like models. So this is my ARC 201 final project, and the word I chose was revolve. And then I went into X1 and X2. So the X1 was like the vertical ones. So I just created a lot of diagrams showing the different spaces. And then I have a model photo. And again, I kept the layout of each one relatively consistent. So also for X2 on the other side, it's just diagrams at the bottom and then a model photo at the top. And then this is the final, this section perspective, I did not redo, but I fixed up a lot. And then the diagrams I kept from ARC 201. But yeah, this was like X3, like how I decided or how I created the final space. This is a design build that I did in the summer between third and fourth year with Zachary Mollica. I really enjoyed it. It was about wood and trees and creating whatever we wanted. So again, same layout, but I started with like a picture of the trees that we were given and then sketches of like potential designs that we were planning on doing. And then this is the first bench that we created. Uh, I've been told schools really like craftsmanship and things like that, and this was like all fully new to me, but I thought it would be important to include. So this was the first bench and just a small description of what I learned from it. And then this is the second, like the final bench that we created. And then just photos of the joinery because I talk a lot about the joinery in the text. Also, chances are they're not going to read all of the text that you put in your portfolio because they're like looking through so many and they're looking quickly. So what I did is I bolded like the specific sentences I really thought were important. And then also I tried to keep the text as small as I could, except for the narrative, which was on the first page of each. And then this is the last page on this project. So the left is how we planned, how we planned the design, and then the right is just an ISO of how it came together. This is the second last project in my portfolio. This is from Landscape Studio with Banaz. This is another project I added color to because she was very anti-color as well. But the drawing on the right, the perspective, I had to like do from scratch after the course was over, just because I felt like it was missing like one key photo. And when you feel like you're putting your project in your portfolio and you think there's like key drawings missing, I recommend just making them instead of trying to make your existing drawings fit because it looks more intentional. And then I just have a list of the plants I planted in my garden. And then this is X2 from Landscape because this project actually informed my next one. So this was like a collage that we did, and then a section through, we had to pick a historical event that happened on our site. And I picked this one where there was like 6 different times of year where people would come together. So it's just showing the 6 different events. And then this is a plan I made. Uh, Again, I didn't change a lot in this drawing, but I did add all the blue. It was just all black and white before. But yeah, these are just showing like the 6 events that took place. And then this is a lot of research. A lot of advice I was given on this page is to declutter it because like when you look at it, especially if you're looking at it really quickly, you don't really know what's going on. You just see a lot of like icons everywhere. So in hindsight, I think I would go back and take out a few things from this page and just keep what I thought was truly important to my design. But I was adamant about keeping it just because I wanted to show that my work was informed or grounded in some sort of research, which I feel like when I was at Daniels, I felt like that was lacking. And then here's a section of my proposed design. And so it's like a long section, and then the squares are just call outs that I put at the bottom. And you'll see that I have this format or layout on other pages as well. So again, just trying to keep layout consistent if you can. And then this was my final plan that I did. The pink is just all like the new interventions that I added. And then the bottom are the 6 different blooms in different times of year. This is the last project I put in. This is my thesis, but this is only the first semester of thesis, so it's really only research and a few drawings compared to the second half, which is a lot more design based. Um, so yeah, a lot of people don't put their thesis in if they're applying without a gap year, but I think this was an important project to show like what I'm passionate about and what I like about architecture. So I focused on the education system in Pakistan and the wealth disparity. So this is just like a conceptual collage I made, also not for thesis, but I made it specifically for grad school apps. And then we have so I compared a government school and a private school. So this is the government school, same layout of a long section with the different call outs showing, giving attention to different things. And I did that through color and then also call outs in small text. And then same with this one. This is the private school with a section and then different call outs. And then the last thing I did was just compare different aspects of each school. So a site plan of they're at the same scale, but like a government school and then the private school, and then outdoor space in the government school and the private school, and so on. Just to like, and then I use like the black crochet to show like the stark contrast between the two. And like because I wasn't designing yet for my thesis, I wanted the research to like really speak and like be comparative and show that there was a need for a design. So that's what I did. And then I also talked about in that text that this isn't my finished thesis, but I will be continuing it. And that's my whole portfolio. I will say for schools have different page requirements. So this is the one I used to apply to Yale and U of T. Columbia's where I'm at now is a little bit shorter. It was only 20 pages. So I remember this page and this page I stacked together and it did look quite condensed, but I wanted to show both because if it's a comparison, you need to. And I think I took out the collage. So you can like give and take what's important, but I don't think you should compromise your layout when you're putting less, when there's less pages in your portfolio. I think you just have to be more selective about the work you put in rather than fitting everything in. Because although the work and the concept and narratives of what you put in your portfolio are important, so is the layout and how your portfolio looks at the end. So you need to consider that. But yeah, that's it.